Welcome to Untangled Minds, making mess. Well, we're making messes, all right. Making sense of the mess, one thread at a time. Life with ADHD and autism and other neurodivergent experiences can feel tangled, chaotic, and a little overwhelming. I'm Deanna, therapist, writer, and mom, and intuitive, and I know firsthand what it's like to hold both the struggle and the beauty of having one of these brains. In this podcast, we'll explore the intersections of neurodivergence, attachment, relationships, parenting, and healing. Through story, strategy, and soulful conversation, we'll untangle shame, we'll celebrate strengths, and we'll create safe space for authenticity. If you've ever felt like you're too much, you're not enough, or you're just different, this is your place to breathe, laugh, and belong. Welcome back to episode 9. And I will say I'm excited about this episode. I will also say I'm excited that this episode is going to be done. These attachment episodes have been a little overwhelming. Kind of laugh at myself and think it's so on par that I bit off such a huge task like 3 episodes in. And seems very on point for me and my personality. If you know me personally, you'll know that I often bite off more than I can handle. But I was determined that I was going to finish this mini series. Not even a mini series. It's like a whole series. So welcome to episode number 9, Earned Secure Attachment. And these people, unlike the unicorns, they had to work for their special. These people are known as the Phoenix. These are people who experienced a childhood dumpster fire and are still learning how to build healthy and lasting love. It's proof that your past is not the final say on your future. If your childhood looked like a dumpster fire, but you're out here building healthy relationships, you're not broken, you're a phoenix. Earned secure attachment is living proof that your past doesn't get the last word and you get to rewrite the ending. So far, we've covered all of the insecure attachments. We've also covered a secure attachment. So what happens when your childhood wasn't secure, but you figured out how to cope with and learn how to better deal with attachment issues, and you've now considered yourself a secure attacher? Well, you, my friend, are actually an earned secure attacher, which is kind of even cooler, in my opinion, than being a secure attachment. Because not only were you like presented with a shit show, but you rose from the fire, aka that's why you're a phoenix. You rose from the fire and you emerged even more beautiful and even brighter and even more competent than you ever could have thought you were. The thing about earned secure attachment is these are not people who who are born with a stable childhood. These are people who have experienced trauma, who have experienced attachment ruptures, who have experienced situations in their life that left them feeling anxious, overwhelmed, that left them feeling avoidant and not feeling safe in love. And through healing and therapy and building healthy relationships, they were able to earn back what should have been rightfully theirs. And that is the ability to securely love, to confidently love, to go about life in a manner that is refreshing. Earned secure attachment, it's a shift. It's when your beliefs shift from love is dangerous and conditional to I may not have started secure, but I can learn to trust and love and to be loved in healthy ways. The earned secure love attachment, these individuals can come from any one of the archetypes. They could be anxious, they could be avoidant, they could be disorganized. It does not matter. Each one of the archetypes has its own struggles with moving from insecure to secure, but it's not something that can't happen. So what do we know about phoenixes? Okay. Phoenixes aren't forged or born in comfort. They're forged in fire. For the parentified children of the world, Earned secure attachment means that you now know that you don't have to carry everybody. For the lost child, it means that you discovering that you deserve to be seen. For the scapegoat, it means realizing that your worth isn't defined by shame. And for the golden child, it's learning that love is not tied to performance, that you can fail and still be loved. In the real life world of adults and trauma and healing, people who have earned secure attachment, they still feel old triggers. So just to say you're now a secure attachment doesn't mean that you don't experience a trigger. It means that instead of responding how you used to, you now respond instead of react. It means that you're able to communicate your needs and choose healthier relationships. It's like choosing partners and friends who reflect your growth instead of the internal chaos that you grew up with. It's about accepting that triggers are not going to just disappear. You just know how to hit snooze. People who have earned secure attachment are resilient and compassionate and wise. They often know the terrain of the pain, which makes them really, really empathetic. Like, you know, as somebody who is working on healing my attachment, who is working very hard to overcome the reaction and respond instead of react, sometimes I find that I become too empathetic. Like, sometimes I find that because I can understand how somebody feels, I'll use that as an excuse of why it's okay for them to behave that way. And the reality is there's never an excuse to behave in a way that hurts somebody else or yourself, right? We all have the duty and responsibility to do better. But because I am in my healing journey, sometimes as an empath, as a therapist, as a healer, I empathize too much with somebody who's struggling in their attachment. And I will use that as an explanation for why they're behaving some way without giving them the requirement that they should still be trying to heal and change. I've come to accept that to be secure, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm still going to be triggered. I'm still going to experience hurt. I'm still going to experience the urges to run away and to disappear. But through a change in my own behavior, I am doing everything I can to battle these triggers, to no longer allow them to take over and run away with my nervous system. And this takes so much practice. Like, you can go years and years without a trigger and then suddenly get triggered and you're going to be right back where you started, because the reality is you have to constantly be building the muscle of resisting the temptation in order to continue to grow. And I think that's one thing that most people don't realize is when you are in an attachment healing phase, you are all right, fun fact. So you see how I'm rocking like this? I don't know when I started it. I guess I'll go back at the video and look. But this is stimming. This is something about this conversation is making me uncomfortable. And this is my body's way of trying to self-soothe. I don't know what exactly is making me uncomfortable. I think probably the fact that I am still working on trying to heal, and even today I experienced an attachment rupture, and that can be really, really overwhelming. So when you look at me, most of you who don't know me might not see autism. You might not see ADHD. That's because it doesn't have a look. It's because I've been trained how to not look autistic. I've trained myself to contain my stims. I've trained myself to be less, so I'm not overwhelming to people. It's interesting. Didn't expect this episode to give me a trigger. It'll be something to explore. I think one of the biggest things I can say to you as a healing individual, as a healer, as a therapist, is it is damn near impossible for somebody to do this kind of healing and this kind of work without engaging in therapy. And that's because oftentimes we are blind to patterns of behavior that we are engaged in. And so it is really important for there to be that like outside perspective, especially with a non-biased third party who's not invested in the outcome of whatever you're working with in this relationship or that relationship. And also, like, therapists have the tools to help you cope with the dysregulation, which is how you overcome the responsive piece, the reactive piece, and instead choose, keyword there, choose to respond instead of react. Choose. I can't say that enough times. Healing is not about getting better. It's about choosing to be better. It's about choosing to do differently. It's about choosing to be happy. It's about choosing, where do I go from here? Most days, I experience an attachment. That's another stem. Most days I experience an attachment rupture because I'm still learning how to accept that I'm not too much in my unmasked and unfiltered self. And I often struggle with choosing to do differently because the compulsiveness of the reactions are strong. You know, like if you see a bug and you want to squish it, that compulsive need to eradicate that bug from your universe is strong. And that's what it's like when you experience an attachment trigger. It doesn't just feel like, oh, I need to do this. It's like, I need to react this way. I need to say this. I need to run away. And I am still teaching myself that these things that present themselves to me as needs are not needs. They are wishes. They are wants. They are protective scripts that were taught to me by my nervous system to protect me. And while I appreciate that my nervous system spent the better half of 35 years trying to protect me from unforeseen circumstances that might hurt me down the road, I'm so grateful for them, for all that work they did. I also hate it because I don't want to live in this world of constantly trying to not react or to only respond a specific way. I don't want to live in this space of having to say, I'm sorry for being so much. I'm sorry for being triggered. Let's talk about today. Today, I received a message from my ex-husband telling me that he ran into my ex-boyfriend, I don't fucking know, whatever. My other ex, and my ex-best friend, and her boyfriend, and their kids. And he didn't tell me a lot about their conversation. And within minutes of that message, I decided to set a boundary and ask for him to not tell me about when he runs into them. And I explained to him that I wanted to ask this favor of him to respect this boundary because I didn't like the feelings that came up inside of me when these people were brought back into my orbit. And at first I felt really guilty about setting this boundary because, like, we still have children who communicate with their children. And I had to accept that I had the right to set this boundary. I also had to accept that he had the right to not want to honor that. I'm lucky that he still cares about my well-being enough to say, yeah, like, I can do that for you. But then in sharing my new set boundary with another friend of mine, that friend of mine opened their social media, and there at the top of their social media was a friend recommendation of the person with whom I just wanted to set a boundary. And my space felt invaded. My privacy felt invaded. My safety felt questioned. And to my friend's benefit, I don't think he cared either way. I think he saw probably some comedy in the situation. I did not, in the slightest. And I had a meltdown. I felt so overwhelmed. And I just wanted to be left alone. I just wanted these people to leave me out of their lives, keep me out of their space. I don't want to be haunted by them anymore. And I started to react. I started to notice that I started to send several messages to my friend, and I started to become dysregulated. And I stopped myself and I responded to my friend and I said, I'm sorry, I'm dysregulated at the moment. My friend's like, that's clear. And I said, I'm going to go take a shower. And I went in and I took a shower, and in the shower I had a little mini meltdown, and then I got out of the shower feeling better. And I brought this trigger up because this is what growth looks like. This is what it looks like to say, yes, I know this is how I want to respond. I know that my nervous system wants to protect me right now, but I can choose differently, and I will react and respond in different ways this time. And this was a big win. I would say, like, I'm probably like 40% in my healing journey, maybe 50%, maybe 60%. I don't know. I'm pretty self-aware. I'm pretty articulate when it comes to understanding my needs and what's happening inside of my brain and where I'm at in certain processes. I'm not always fast enough to stop the triggers before they get to the point where I start to react. However, I'm getting pretty good at responding once I react and redirecting my response into a more even keeled, less overwhelming response. And that is the healing. That is the growth, right? It's not perfection. It's not, oh, suddenly I don't have these insecurities. It's, I'm choosing to not let them run my nervous system. I'm choosing to do things differently and to believe the story that I am writing, not the story that my nervous system is trying to tell me. I'm choosing to believe that love and relationships can be safe. I'm choosing to believe that I'm worthy. I'm choosing to believe that not everyone is out to hurt me. I'm choosing to believe that those that did hurt me maybe didn't do it on purpose. And I'm choosing to let go of the hurt. I'm choosing to let go of the pain. I'm choosing to let go of the wish that I could just destroy their world. I don't actually feel that way most of the time. And sometimes when I do, I'm choosing to accept that's a normal response. So, what does it look like to practice shifting toward an earned, secure attachment style? Here are some practical shifts that you can make to help yourself shift from an insecure attachment style to a secure attachment style. You can seek out safe and consistent relationships. So, the biggest thing about using relationships to further your healing journey is that the key to overcoming the insecurities is consistency. So whether it's avoidant or whether it's anxious, consistency wins. So if it's somebody who's anxious, who believes and is trying to teach themselves that they no longer are required to people please and perform in order to be loved, they allow themselves to no longer present that perfectionistic view of relationships and allow themselves to fail. And in failing, when they're involved in a healthy relationship, when they fail, their partner shows them, you can fail and I'll still love you. And the consistency of their partner showing up when they struggle and showing up and saying, you don't have to be perfect and I still love you. That's how you heal that anxiousness. That's how you rewrite the system. That's how you overcome the script inside of your head that says, if I'm not perfect, you're not going to love me. And then for those that are avoidant, who fear that intimacy means that they're going to be swallowed whole, who fear that they will lose themselves or fear that they will fail the expectations that their partner has for them. These people, they learn that safety comes in relationships through their partner showing them, again, that failure is not the end of the world. That in order to be loved, you just have to show up. People that are avoidant don't inherently believe in their own worth. And I have loved people that were avoidant. And I thought I could love them enough that they would believe that their worth is not dependent on whether or not they can show up for me perfectly when I need them to. We are all humans. We are all people who just want to be loved and who are not going to be perfect. Sometimes I'm going to be too anxious. Sometimes you're going to be too distant. And I'm going to trigger you and you're going to trigger me. But what's important and what we have to take from that in order to heal and to retrain the script and rewrite the script is that even when I'm too anxious and you run away from me, I'm not going anywhere. And when you come back, you teach me that you can take a break and still come back to me. And every time we go through that, I learn that I can survive it. And I also learn that you mean what you say you mean. And that when you said you're not going to leave, you're not going to leave. I have to learn that I can't love people into loving me. That oftentimes that's my trauma response. And I don't have to be perfect. I can practice self-compassion. I can talk to myself in a way that I needed somebody to talk to me when I was a kid. I posted a bonus episode last week where I was having a meltdown. And I was talking to myself through it, and I was telling myself that I was safe and I was okay. That is how you handle yourself. You talk to yourself in a way that people might think is crazy, but that doesn't matter. You have to reparent yourself. You have to rewrite the script in your head. And the only person that really can truly do that is you. Another way to move towards a secure attachment is trying rupture and repair. So that means when conflict happens, instead of running away, you can lean in. And that means asking the questions, understanding what happened, accepting the consequences, and saying, I can manage this and still love you. I can manage this and not leave. And as you do each of these things, you build new stories in your brain. And then you reinforce the behavior by doing specific things like journaling about things or incidences that made you feel safe, loved, and supported. These are the bricks that build the secure attachment that we so desperately want to evolve into. And it's going to take a lot of repetition. It's going to take a lot of practice. And if you ever think you've gotten there, don't give up and don't stop. Because if you stop practicing, then the muscle memory goes away. And you'll find yourself back in that same attachment rupture process and not understanding what changed. So if you made it to the end of this mini-series, congratulations. You're basically in attachment Hogwarts. And the Phoenix House is where we all want to graduate from. Here's the truth. Your childhood role shaped you, but it doesn't define you. You can rewrite the script. Earned secure attachment is living proof. So keep practicing the small shifts. Notice when your old patterns show up, journal about them, talk about them, go to therapy, but don't let them drive the car. Healing is not about never wobbling. It's about trusting that you can find your balance again when you do. Thank you so much for joining me in this mini-series and on my podcast. This process of sharing my world and sharing my perception has been an amazing start to an amazing journey. And I'm so grateful that every single one of you are joining me along the way. I hope that you unmask, untangle, and shine your weird into the world like a beacon. And until next time, stay weird.